Because the people who are crazy enough to think they can change the world are the ones who do.
Welcome to Successful Dropout. This podcast is for the outliers, the innovators, the rebels, those that dare to dream and act on their dreams. I'm your host, Kylan Ginger. Join me as we find out what it takes to drop out, grind, and succeed as an entrepreneur. What's up, Successful Dropouts? Get stoked because today on the show we have Nathan Latka. Nathan is the founder of Heyo, a company that has helped thousands of businesses get more leads through smart social media campaigns, and this company was recently acquired by one of its competitors. He's also the host of one of the most successful business podcasts called The Top, where he interviews the top entrepreneurs in money, marketing, business, and life. He's also been featured on several major publications, including Forbes, Inc., Inside Facebook, The Wall Street Journal, and USA Today. This guy is 26 years old and absolutely killing it. So Nathan, that's the intro I have for you, man, but tell us a little bit more about yourself and what you do.
Kylan, thanks for having me on. You know, everyone listening, you are my people. Dropouts all the way. I mean, this is like where the smart people are. They're usually pretty people. They're geniuses. They're great. So I'm excited to be here, man. You hit the intro. I mean, I don't have much to add on that. You hit it out of the park.
Now, one of the things I was curious about is you mentioned that you run on nuclear power on your website. What's that about?
Look, it's kind of a synonym just for people to understand. You're hustling all the time, but it's like smart hustle. I tell people kind of all the time. They go, Nathan, are you one of those guys that's like busy all the time? And I'm like, no, actually, I'm like the laziest person you're ever going to meet. And you know, the people that get rich, they're always the laziest. You know why? They figure out how to do the most in the least amount of time. And so I love lazy people. I always like investing in lazy people. I think they're the best.
And tell me a little bit more about your podcast. When did you start and where are the numbers at right now?
Yeah, so this has been, I mean, like a total and complete shock to me. I mean, people, they hear about podcasts. Most podcasts get 1,000 downloads per episode, 2,000 downloads per episode. We've just crossed 2 million downloads. So wow. Something magical is happening. And Kylan, I think it's because people are sick and tired of looking at these entrepreneurs that write, you know, the little Forbes column or the little Inc. column about, you know, top 10 ways to get what you want and be rich by 26, because the people, they're like broke writing those articles from like their mom's apartment in New York. Okay, they just don't know what they're talking about. The problem is people that do have real success, they really do generate wealth. They have no incentive to write a column for Entrepreneur or Inc. about it, right? They're off enjoying their life. They're not even probably online. I mean, they're doing their own thing. So the reason I did the show was to get people on and hit them hard with questions. The first question I always ask is, how much money did you make last month and how'd you do it? I asked them, when you and your founders created the company, how'd you split equity? How'd you negotiate? Did you get in a fight? What's the cap table look like? If they tell me they've raised capital, I respond and I say, great. What was the valuation? 10 million, 40 million, 100 million? What was it? What was the liquidation preference on the note? Was it convertible note or were you selling equity? You know, what was the interest rate? What was, you know, all this stuff. So in other words, I ask questions that just other people, they shake in their boots to ask. They would never ask it. But Kylan, everyone's secretly thinking the same thing, and I just ask it.
Yeah, and I've listened to a few of your episodes, man, and you are absolutely brutal with some of these people. I mean, especially when it's kind of clear that they don't want to share those numbers for any reason.
Yeah, look, you have to be tough. You have to be tough. The worst thing you can do is listen to someone that's bullshitting you and then do something based off their advice. That's the worst. You know, there's all these people that have had a little bit of success and now they like brag about all their angel investments and how their mentees are learning from them. You know, look, they had like one success. They think they know it all. They try and preach that same thing to everybody else, and it's just not the way to do it. So somebody has to be tough, and I have nothing to lose. You know, no one else is supporting me money-wise, you know, so I can go for the jugular every time. Which episode did you listen to where I was hitting hard?
It was one of the recent ones. It was a SaaS company out of, I think, New York, and I can't remember the name of the company.
Yeah.
But I remember he couldn't give away some of the numbers, or he just felt comfortable. He didn't feel comfortable, or it was more he didn't feel comfortable measuring, like through some of the metrics. I think you were asking, measuring the success and stuff, and you were just really hitting it hard.
That was Unbounce, I believe, or Bounce Exchange, I believe.
Yep, that's it. Yeah.
Yeah.
I was like, this guy is crazy. brutal, man.
They get heated, man. There's yelling match. I mean, it gets heated. The reason they get heated is I don't give a damn about the guest. I care about the audience. I care about you people listening right now. Okay, that's what I care about. So if I have to if the guest and I are not friends afterwards, that's fine, as long as I got all the good data so that the audience loved it.
And that's apparent, man, because I was rooting for you the whole time. I was like, get him, like, give me the numbers here.
Yeah, it's great. People can listen. They can just search the top entrepreneurs on iTunes. It's an orange logo with kind of my face on it. So I'd love to see your people over there.
Yeah, and it's a daily show, correct? And
15 minutes every day.
And you started this how long ago?
In August of last year. So about 8 or 9 months in, 2 million downloads. 2 million downloads. I mean, really unbelievable.
I mean, what do you think is to attribute for that success?
Well, look, I mean, it shocked me. I mean, you look at Tim Ferriss, you look at NPR, you look at the most successful folks talking about entrepreneurship on podcasts, and it's taking them 2, 3, 4, 5 years to get to 2 million downloads. We did it. I mean, it's unbelievable. We did it in 9 months. So something's happening. I don't know that I have an explanation as to why, other than I get data from people that you can't get anywhere else online. It's like how you always secretly wonder what your neighbor's worth, but you will never ask. I'll ask. Right. That's why, I think.
Yeah, it's an inspiration, man. I want to get a little bit more into who Nathan Latka is, because I discovered you probably 2 months ago, I think, through an interview through Eventual Millionaire. Do you remember that?
Jamie Tardy, yep.
Yeah, she's great. And I remember you talked about some of you seem like a very systems-oriented guy. You're very confident and obviously motivated guy. I mean, you're 26 and I'm going to venture to say you're a multimillionaire. But there were a couple things that you shared. Specifically, you shared that you wear the same outfit every day and you have that laid out just to save time, so you don't have to spend time picking out what to wear in the morning. You get things like your coffee ready or whatever. And this inspired me a couple months ago, to start adding these little systems into my day-to-day routines and just starting to save time, be more efficient. And it's been incredible. So, I mean, where did you start to get so into this?
Well, it's not a genius and it's not something that's crazy. It's just very, very simple. It is a factual truth about life that every morning you wake up, you have literally, think about it like your hand, you've cupped it under a faucet and you're holding like some amount of water in your hand, as much as you can hold, right, before it starts pouring over. That's like your decision-making power every day. And it leaks, and eventually your hand becomes empty. So the more decisions you make, starting right when you wake up in the morning, the less effective you get as the day goes on. So that is why the wealthiest people always have blank calendars, right? They don't want to have to be making any decisions or talking to people or making unimportant decisions like clothes or food. They want to save all their decision-making power for the billion-dollar decision that could hit them or present itself at any time during any day. And that's what's key.
You talk some about brainwashing yourself. I know you study billionaires, but talk to me a little bit more about that.
Yeah, I mean, look, I don't know of a better way to say it besides brainwashing myself. And what I'll tell you is, when I first launched the podcast, everyone's going, Nathan, how'd you get your first guests? Well, and I said, it's simple. I just told all the guests, hey, by August of 2017, we're going to have 1 million downloads. And I had nothing at that point. I didn't have a show logo, right? I just said, we will have 1 million downloads. Now,
did anybody laugh at you, or did anybody reply back?
No, everyone's going, oh yeah, totally, great, we're in. I mean, no objections. But here's the thing, right? You guys listening right now, if I forced you right now to go tell the world, I'm going to build a business, and in the next 12 months, it's going to do $1 million per year, right? You would not go say it to the world. Most people wouldn't, okay? People that are going to stay broke the rest of their lives wouldn't, because you're scared of what will happen if you don't hit 1 million. And what will you have to tell all your Facebook friends who read your status update where you were saying you're going to hit 1 million? What will you tell your parents? What will you tell your colleagues, right? You worry about all that stuff versus just trusting in yourself and believing that if you tell the world's going to help you get there. And even if you don't get there, it doesn't matter if you fall on your own sword. You still are further along than what you were. So that's what I mean. You can't go tell the world you're going to do something big until you brainwash yourself first. And it's why I can very confidently say 2036, I'm going to easily win 55 to 60% of the vote. I'm going to become president of the United States. It's going to be unbelievable. We're going to simplify everything. It's going to be great. That's one thing. Another, next year I'm writing a bestseller. I'll sell 1 million copies in the first 2 years. It'll be one of the best selling business books of all time. I'm going to launch the world's largest hedge fund, which would need to be about $100 billion in assets under management. I want to do that by the time I turn 46. There's specifically something I'm looking at taking public before I turn 30. So take a company public before 30. All of these things I will absolutely do 100%, because I've just convinced myself. My mind wakes up every morning going, you're doing this. You have no other option. And when you get yourself in that mind frame, you win. The problem is the world hedges. Every one of you listening right now, you've hedged. You have a college degree, so you can fall back on it, right? That person, that ex-boss you really don't like, you stay in touch with them in case you ever need to go back to that job. You keep your resume updated so you can feel good about maybe quitting a job you don't like for some reason. Everyone is always hedging. And the trick is you actually want to do the opposite. You want to burn every bridge and cut every safety net.
Do you say these things to yourself every day, every morning?
It's less now to myself. It's more like this. I'm telling other people about everybody I meet. I tell this to. So I probably say it 4 or 5 times a day.
And I completely agree with you, but I do want to play devil's advocate here. What do you tell people when they come back? Because I imagine some people have told you, like, that sounds like ego, or you sound, maybe a little too overconfident. What do you tell people when they bring that up? Well,
did you see, Ryan Holiday just wrote the book Ego's the Enemy. Did you see my interview with him?
That's where the question comes from.
Yeah, so he got, Ryan's a best-selling author, unbelievable. I just interviewed him on my show because I love my ego. And he's telling me it's like going to kill me, basically. So I interviewed him, and the link is nathanlatka.com/the-top331. But we get in a vigorous debate, and there's video there too, so you can read our facial reactions. You can see him throwing his hands up. You can see me leaning in, getting into it. We get in a vigorous debate about ego. And look, I think it's powerful. I think it's so, so powerful. I disagree with Ryan. And he'll argue about syntax, but no, I love my ego. I think you have to have ego to win.
So Nathan, here at Successful Dropout, we help people, if they feel called to drop out, grind, and succeed as entrepreneurs. And the first step there is the very scary decision of whether or not to leave school. So I want you to tell us the story of why you dropped out of college.
So this wasn't scary for me. I know a lot of people that go on these shows, they go, I lost all my money. I had like $1 in my bank. I arrived in the U.S. and then I hustled. Or like I dropped out of school with $1 and now I'm a multimillionaire.
Right.
Look, those are sexy stories. Most of them are bullshit. I mean, they're made up because it sells books or it sells an info product course. They're just made up. The fact of the matter is, dropping out of school was so easy for me. And I'll tell you why. I had pre-sold 73 grand worth of the product.
Wow.
Right. So I had 73 grand sitting in my bank account. And I did that. I got that money in my bank account while I was still in school. So like people delusion themselves into thinking they have to put themselves through so much trauma to be successful, right? And it's just not true. It's just not true. You can easily build a machine that manufactures dozens of millions, 10, 20, 30, 40 million. What do you people want? How much do you want per year? You can build a machine that will do that for you without taking unbelievably crazy, stupid risks.
So you pre-sold $73,000 worth of product. Tell me that story. How did you do that? What was the product there?
So the product there was the founding of my business that I just sold, which is heyo.com. So what I did, we were selling Facebook fan page tabs.
Explain a little bit more. What is that?
Sure. So if you go to a Facebook page, you'll see like Justin Bieber releases a new album. He'll have an app on his Facebook page where you can see his upcoming tour dates, or enter your email to win a Justin Bieber autographed album or things like that. We help people build those.
Okay.
Right. So when I first was starting this, I was architecture at Virginia Tech. Okay, I was 2 or 3 years in, and nobody was hiring architects. It's the financial crash. So I said, I got to get the hell out of here. I was so insecure. I said, I need to figure out a way to make money for myself. And so what I did is I started cold calling people that had fan page tabs that also called themselves an executive. And Kylan, what I did is I said, hey, you call yourself an executive, but you don't have an executive fan page tab, which I made up. It's branding, right? I made up executive fan page tab. And of course, they're going, well, I'm an executive. What's in a executive fan page tab? And I said, well, here's what it is. And I listed all the things that I thought I could do on a tab. And eventually they'd say, 1 out of about 6 people would say, okay, fine, yeah, I want it. I'm an executive. I need this thing. And I told them, this is critical copywriting here. Your people should listen to this. They should write it down. They should copy the hell out of me. I said specifically, Carrie Wilkerson, thank you for paying. I got your $700 in the bank account. I need 6 months to deliver you the quality of product that I think you deserve. I want it to be the best. If I can't get you the best in 6 months, I will refund every penny you put in my PayPal account, including the PayPal fee. So she's going, wow, this guy like really wants to give me good quality. That's true. But the other truth was I had no idea how to build these tabs. Right. And I'm lazy. So if I didn't make and pre-sell a lot of these things, if I only pre-sold 10 grand worth of them, I would have refunded everybody because I wouldn't want to learn how to code. But once I got 70 grand or 73 grand in my in the PayPal account, I said, okay, I'm going to teach myself how to code by watching YouTube videos. And that was a start, Kylan, of the business.
So at no point before you sold this product were you ever like, I should probably learn how to code first? You just saw a need and you went to fill it.
Who the hell would want to do that? Yeah, that would take so much time.
Well, I'm just saying because that's like the way people do things, and that's what that's really why I wanted to have you on the show is because you think so differently.
Yeah. No, you look. People always, engineers are famous for saying this. Oh my God, they're like this spammy salespeople. They sell stuff we don't even have. And what the developers don't understand or the engineers don't understand, I as CEO or the salesperson is actually trying to save the developer's time by pre-selling. If the market's not going to buy something, why put it on the developer's Scrum board or the Sprint board for next week to have them build it? So, at least for me as a CEO who also does sales, I'm pre-selling to try and save developers time and myself time. And it's very easy to just refund everybody if it doesn't work. And people go, Nathan, this is so unethical. No, it's not unethical. You're jealous because I'm smart. It works. It's smart. And anyone that tells me anything else, it's just because you don't have the balls to execute it yourself. That's what I tell people. I think it's true. Well
said. So you sold all this product and then was it right after you just decided I can't continue with school? It's just not a good idea?
Well, I mean, it was useless. It was a waste of time. I dropped out. And what I did is, as I started taking it from me building every fan page tab to I need to actually make this a drag and drop editor where others can log on and edit and build their own tabs. So I don't have to do it and spend my time. So I found 2 technical co-founders from the Virginia Tech Entrepreneurship Club. I gave them 40% of my business with, again, already 73 grand in pre-sales. And they built the initial kind of software, which I then sold for anywhere between $30 and $300 a month. And over the following 5 years, so since age about 20 to 25, so launched it in 20, dropped out 20, we grew that thing to over 10,000 monthly paying customers, 25 full-time employees, over $5 million in sales, and we raised over $2.5 million in venture capital from a Forbes billionaire. So we had some success like you've never seen before for somebody that age.
Yeah, that is absolutely incredible. And you've now just recently sold it.
Yeah, I sold it in February of 2016, so a couple months ago.
And I know you can't probably tell us the number of that, but how many X?
Everyone was really, really happy. I'll tell you how I did it because I think there's value here. And I tell people the story. They go, Nathan, how do you do these deals? I mean, these are unbelievable deals. I mean, this is what people are telling me. I never studied how to do deals, but they tell me I'm good at them. But here's what I did. People were interested. So I sent out an email to all of the business development guys of our competitors. And it was a BCC. And I basically said, hey, we're pivoting the business. We're shutting this part of the business down. Right? And I made it look like an email to our customer base. My thought was those BD guys, business development guys and gals, they always are looking for good deals. They don't want to buy something for full price. So you have to give them a reason to think they're getting a deal. So if they read that I'm shutting something down, they're going to think, oh my gosh, we could get Heyo for a great deal. And that's what happened. So if 20 people that I reached out to, 7 of them wrote back. 5 of them gave me something called a letter of intent, which is the start to the acquisition process. And I wrote back to them shocked that I got that kind of response. And Kyle and I said 5 words that quadrupled the deal value. Do you have any guesses? Have you heard me say this before? What are the 5 words?
I think I know your tactic. Like I've got other people coming to me or I've got other deals on the table or something.
What I did was I said something very simple that attacked their confidence. I said to their email, this was the reply, I simply said, thanks for your interest. Here's the 5 words. Is this your best offer? So they immediately start thinking, crap, like are there other bidders? Am I the only bidder?
Subtle, yeah.
Is this the highest bidder? You plant that seed in their brain to let them drive themselves crazy. I mean, that's the key, right? the more mind share that you consume of them, the more likely they are to want to finish the deal because you've consumed more of their resources.
And when you talk about mind share, what do you mean exactly?
Get them thinking about you. Okay, Donald Trump's the best example of this right now. I don't care what he says. He knows how to get you thinking about him, and that attention wins, right? In that case, attention wins.
True.
So you have to figure out what you can say that will get them thinking about you, talking about you at lunch with their colleagues. Because if they go to if they go to lunch with their colleagues and they say, "Hey, I'm working on a big potential acquisition. It's this company called Heyo." The second they tell other people they're trying to get a deal done, their ego's on the line. If they lose the deal, they look bad to their people. So the tipping point is you want to get them talking to their people about it because they lose face if they don't close the deal. Well, and let me just wrap up that real quick because it's important. So of the folks that gave me the LOI, 4 of them wrote back to that email and doubled their offer, right? So just like that, poof, out of thin air, doubled their offer. Millions and millions of value, just boom from 5 words.
Wow.
I said, wow, that worked great the first time. Let me try it again. So I wrote back to the 3 that were still interested. I said, hey, I'm making a decision Friday which LOI to sign. Is this your best offer? Well, Kylan, 2 of them wrote back and doubled.
Again.
Double. One of them dropped out. Okay, so you lose people, but 2 of them doubled. So I took people where if they offered $5 million to start, I got them to double it once to $10 million. I got them to double it again to $20 million by using 5 words. Is that your best offer? So I ended up signing one of them. It was with a company called Votigo, Votigo. They're now using the site. It's still up, heyo.com. It's a core driver of their business, and it was a great success. Everyone was happy. Investors were happy. So
good.
That was great.
So let's move on here. How did your friends and family react to you dropping out?
Oh, God. Family, not so happy. Then Christmas came around, and they're like, ooh, these are nice gifts. And they were like, okay, I like that. Nathan dropped out. Look, you're never going to have support of your parents. If you're listening right now, and you're between the age of 15 and 30, you will not have your parents' support dropping out of school. Maybe you're one of the lucky ones you do, but you won't. Just prepare yourself for the word. You will not have your parents backing. They will tell you, they will kick you out of their house. They will stop paying for your car insurance. You'll be done. So just prepare for that, right? Know the board game you're about to play and then beat it by studying the rules. You're not going to have their support because that's what they were trained to do when they were growing up, and they want to give you a better life, and they think the way to better life is with a college degree. So you will not have their support.
Now, I want to get into what you did the first several months directly after dropping out specifically, because I think a lot of people dropping out, they view that as a very crucial time, right? You're in the real world now. You got to make something happen. You're taking some risks. So tell us about those first few months. What did you do?
Well, first off, if dropping out feels like a big risk for you, you've lost. So here's why I say that. The people that become the most successful and the wealthiest understand if they lost everything, what their life would be like. And they maybe have even role played what that would look like. If I lost my house, if I had no car, how would I get around? If I lost my house, where would I live that is like overcovered from rain or that has some heat in case it snows in the winter? Where would I cuddle up and live in my sleeping bag, right? Where would I eat? Where are the restaurants that throw out the scrap food? What bins do they put it in so I can go get it afterward? If I had no income, how would I survive? And once you actually take the time to think about it, and most people are lazy, they don't do this. They listen to me say this, they go, oh, Nathan's just saying, no, this is how it works. It's because it's a mindset thing. The second you understand the worst case scenario, you can take bigger risks than anybody else. So if you are thinking about dropping out and you feel very nervous about it, you've already failed. Dropping out should be as easy as you writing an email because you've already prepared yourself. You already know the board game. You know worst case scenario. So that, Kylan, that would be my answer to your question. It should not be nerve-wracking. So
get used to that worst case scenario, and have you read the book How to Stop Worrying and Start Living? I think by Dale Carnegie. Have you read that?
No, I haven't heard that one, which is surprising because I read a ton. I'll have to check that out.
Yeah, it's a classic, but that is a tactic I know he talks about. Is think of that worst case scenario. Once you're comfortable with that, then all of a sudden, there's a lot less fear involved. Yeah,
it's so important. But Kylan, I can say that story and you can say it and people can write books about it all day long. People don't do it. No, I guarantee you, I bet none of your listeners will do it. That none of them right now will get up after the podcast ends and assume that tonight they can't go back to their bed to sleep. And they have to literally go on the street and use their brain to figure out where they could sleep tonight. That is the key. And that's true about entrepreneurship as well. You look at other resources that are free and how you can mobilize resources to use for yourself. That is actually, you can't just think about worst case scenario. You actually have to live in it so that you know with 100% confidence that if you lost everything, you still would live and you would be comfortable. If you just think about it, you haven't brainwashed yourself.
What I love about you, Nathan, is you're not afraid to say kind of what needs to be said and be harsh with people, because I think a lot of times people are too soft, or they hear you talking about something like this and they get maybe an inkling in their mind like, oh yeah, I'm gonna go do that after I listen, and then they just don't. And specifically what you were talking about, I think people psych themselves out too much, specifically dropping out. The image in your mind is that you're gonna end up on the side of the road cooking over an open flame, in a cardboard box. But we live in America, and honestly, that's not the case. And there's a bunch of, if you have to, you can fall back to college. Nobody's saying that once you drop out, you can never go back. In fact, most colleges have you can just kind of postpone your degree, and after a year, still come back and pick up where you left off. But
yeah, and I will tell you, by the way, get comfortable with the cardboard box on the side of the street cooking over an open flame. Like, if that's where you think you're going to end up, if everything fails, get comfortable with that now. I mean, that's the trick. And I'll also say, you're exactly right with the degree stuff. Virginia Tech honors credits for not just a year, like 50, 60, 70 years. So like college isn't going anywhere. You can always go back if you need to. I will also just tell you though, this is, I've seen this so much and it's ruined people's lives. There are so many people right now that are jealous of entrepreneurs that are successful. They read on TechCrunch, they see Bloomberg, they read Fast Company, they see someone featured and they go, I want to be like that. They go to their entrepreneurial club and say, I want to be like that. So they think the way that they get like that is by dropping out so they can tell all their friends they dropped out. And the action of telling everyone that they are a dropout is actually more important to them than dropping out so they have more time to build their business. And there have been people that I've just seen crash and burn because they're entrepreneurs, they don't have what it takes, and they should stay in school, to be quite frank with you.
Let's talk a little bit about your entrepreneurial journey here. How do you generate revenue right now?
Well, so I don't need to make money. I don't need anyone's money. I'm not actively waking up going, how am I going to make money today? What I will tell you is I am now looking and building assets that truly just write me a check every month. My first real estate deal I did at 21, it was a 4-bedroom. That thing now generates for me about $600 a month, totally passive income. I never think about it. It's great. It just like fills up my bank. It's wonderful. Now, those are like pennies now, compared to kind of relative net worth, but it's important for people listening. I bet you guys could use an extra $600, right? So you want to build those, per month. You want to build those kinds of assets. And that's what I'm looking at doing now, because you create a waterfall effect. If you find assets that pay you, like I'm looking right now at a storage facility deal. It's a $2.9 million facility with a net operating income of somewhere between $225,000 and about $250,000 a year. And I'm going to do the deal. I'm going to offer $2.5 million. I'm going to have a bank finance 80% of the deal. Okay, so that will mean I have a payment of about $11,000 per month to the bank, principal plus interest. But then, so that I don't have to put any cash up, I'm going to get the seller to finance what the bank doesn't. And so I will then pay another $4,000 or $5,000 to the seller for seller financing, which means I'm going to get this thing without putting a dollar of my own capital up. It's making between $30,000 and $34,000 per month right now. $11,000 will go to a bank, $4,000 will go to the sellers. That's $14,000 out of the 30. So there's $15,000 a month in free cash flow. You know whose pocket that's going to go in? This guy's, right? And that's an asset that will live on forever. So that's where that's how I'm thinking about assets and money making right now, Kylan.
Have you read Rich Dad, Poor Dad?
I did. I read it back when I was about 16.
Is that where the idea for the passive income assets came from?
To an extent, yeah. That was my first seed. It's much more, once you actually start doing deals, it's much more advanced. But I give 100% credit to Rich Dad Poor Dad for me thinking about this early on at 16. Now I'm reading much more complex financial books. Ultimately, that Rich Dad Poor Dad is more of a mindset book. Once you understand the mindset, actually going out and finding the deals, what websites, what connections do you have, how do you get the deals, how do you negotiate price, bank relationships, all that is a whole other animal.
Right. And you read quite a bit, don't you?
About a book a day.
Wow. How do you do that?
Well, I have nothing else on my calendar. I mean, I don't know that I have a better answer, to be honest with you. Most people can't read a bunch because
Right.
you're so damn busy.
Yeah. And is this all you read physical books or use Audible or anything?
Nope, all physical. I'm actually, they're all stacked around me right now. All kinds of books. I just finished one, which is a good one, Wealth Secrets by Sam Wilkin, How the Rich Got Rich, to biographies. I just read Titan, which was Rockefeller's biography. Um, it's fascinating to study historical wealth figures and figure out how you can apply those principles to today, because a lot of the stuff is very applicable. It's just a little bit different.
Tell us a little bit about your worst entrepreneurial moment.
So my worst is such a subjective word. What I'll tell you, my worst kind of entrepreneurial moment was when I gave away 40% of my business when I started. I knew those guys for about 2 hours. I mean, I literally met them at eClub. I said, I have 73 grand in pre-sales. I need tech built. Do you want to join? I'm willing to give 40%. They said yes. Neither of those guys stayed long, right? Like a year. The business lasted 5 years. So they left when we were doing like no dollars in revenue, and I grew it to like a lot of revenue, but they were still on the cap table. So they still participated. They got credit, all that stuff. That was a big mistake I made. I lost a lot of money by giving up that 40% without more due diligence. The easy way to counter that for you guys now starting a business, you just put them on a vesting schedule, right? And you're going to go, Nathan, I already knew about a vesting schedule. Remember, guys, I was not like a guy studying to be an entrepreneur when I started this. It was like I had money, crap, I need to build something. Okay, I just need to get it done. So that's an amateur concept now, but put everyone on a vesting schedule so that if they leave the business, they don't get all the equity.
What's a light bulb moment or an aha moment you've had?
Yeah, I mean, this is it's a good question to ask because in theory, everyone kind of has these. I think the trick that I've learned is momentum is everything. So like if you're constantly building little pieces of momentum, you actually never have a light bulb moment, but you wake up on one day and then 2 years later, you're like, wow, how'd this thing get built, right? But there's no moment that's so drastic in the middle that really spots itself out. So I think I would say the trick is just remember momentum is always king, and start building momentum now, today.
There's something that I remember you said in the past is it hesitation is the
enemy of hustle.
Is the enemy of hustle.
Yep. Which I don't like anymore. But I can change my mind. I'm allowed to change my mind. I don't like it anymore because
why is that?
Because people I was teaching that to, what I saw them doing is tweeting back at me screenshots of their Outlook calendar with 7,000 freaking meetings with different color codes and shit, bragging about how busy they are and how hard they're, quote, hustling. And I realized, crap, that's not the message I need to get out. You want to do the most amount you can in the least amount of time. Like, Kylan, you ever go to on vacation, like to the beach, and you still have work to do? So you're like, okay, I'm going to sneak out to the coffee shop early in the morning with the Wi-Fi connection, work for an hour, then go to the beach with my family. You ever do that?
Right. You're right. Yep.
And what happens? That hour is your most productive you've ever been. Usually, because your opportunity cost is so high. You're thinking, I got to get this done because I want to go to the beach, right? Versus you guys sitting in your offices, your cars, or your commutes, or your gym right now working out. You don't have a high opportunity cost. Your opportunity cost is to go to the bathroom or finally send the email back to the boss or like do some other things. So one trick to being productive is always set your opportunity cost really high. Even if it's a fake one, you're just brainwashing yourself about. Set your opportunity cost really, really high and you're going to get more done.
What do you think about adding, the concept of burning your ships to that?
I don't know what you mean.
For instance, dropping out, not being able to fall back on a degree or anything like that and having that really drive you forward, or even people telling you that you can't do something.
I think that works for some people. It doesn't work for others. It works great for me. I love, if the whole world said, Nathan, you can't, you better believe I'm going to prove everybody wrong. I hate it when when we're about to play a board game with friends and they go, oh, Nathan, we've seen you play this. You always win. You're going to win this. It's going to be so easy for you. I hate that. Right? I would rather people go, Nathan, like, we're so good at this. There is no way you can win this. We've all practiced. We went to the conference to learn how to play it last month. There's no way you can win. So I love people hating on me. I would not be able to survive if people didn't hate me.
Nathan, if you could time travel back to day one of your entrepreneurial journey and have 10 minutes with your former self to communicate any lessons you acquired with the intention of saving yourself mistakes, heartache, maybe time, what would you tell yourself?
Keep expenses extremely low. It's easier to control your expenses than chase more revenue. And the second is you have to, again, brainwash yourself into a big vision so you can tell the world, because the world will help you create the momentum you need to win. And the way you win is by doing the same thing longer than anybody else, more consistently. That's the key.
What's a personal habit that you believe contributes to your success?
Every Sunday, I open my calendar and I delete and cancel as many meetings as possible for the upcoming week.
Oh, wow. And so that, I'm sure that helps you keep it pretty open for new opportunities.
Empty.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's great.
What do you consider success to be as an entrepreneur for yourself? Because success is often relative, right?
Money. I'm not a charitable guy. You know what? I like creating jobs, right? So make a lot of money, people. Get rich. Look at Bill Gates. Get rich, and you can do all kinds of positive things on the world. The people that say, oh, I want to donate to charity or do it's because they don't have confidence in themselves that they're going to get really wealthy. So they have to hedge, right? They have to make smaller promises to themselves. Get rich, make money, create jobs, do good things with your money. That's the key.
What's a quality that you have that you would consider essential to being an entrepreneur?
My confidence. By far. People hit me on it all the time. They go, Nathan, you're crazy. You're so confident. But you know what? The people that hit me on my confidence, they're still watching.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? They're still watching. They're still tuning into every episode. Your haters watch more. Look at Howard Stern, $500 million deal with Sirius because he has so many haters. Haters usually pay more than people who love you, to be quite honest with you, especially if you're in the attention game. So my confidence, it's a great asset. It's unbelievable.
What's a business book that you would recommend to us and why?
So there's one of the first ones that I read. I'm going to see if I can pull it out right now. Hold on. It's this book called it's called The Outsiders. Okay. And the reason I like this book, it covers 8 unconventional CEOs and their really radically rational blueprint for success. And they get into a lot of detail. It's Warren Buffett's like 3rd or 4th favorite book, actually. He just never talks about it. It's called The Outsiders. So that's a great book. And it's in case study format. So you can kind of open to any section of like 10 or 20 pages, and each 10 or 20 pages is its own story. So it's great reading.
What's an internet resource that you would recommend?
Well, look, I never really like sharing this with a lot of people because it gave me such an advantage when I was building Heyo, but I built this little piece of code for myself to use when I was emailing very rich people, very influential people, like A-listers who I wanted to get a reply from, right? Maybe I wanted them to partner with me on a webinar or come to an event I was doing, right, or buy my product. And I call it the top inbox. What it does is when you send an email, you can write it at 6 p.m., use the little send later button, and you can send it at 3 a.m. So they get it and they go, damn, this guy's hustling at 3 a.m. Of course I want to invest. Of course I want to buy his product, right? It's also at the top of their inbox the next morning. So that's critical. There's 2 other kind of magical buttons that I built into this little piece of code. One is a reminder button. It's called the bell. And I tell people, use the bell if you want to outsell. And here's why. The bell is a reminder. So if I'm emailing people, trying to get them to buy my product, I can say, if this person doesn't reply in 3 days, bring this email back to the top of my inbox. Right? So I don't have to remember to follow up with people. And then the last one is, It's a double arrow little icon. And the little double arrow that sits in Gmail is I can email somebody. And it's like a one-to-one email marketing concept, right? So if they don't respond in 2 days, send them this email. If they don't respond still in 3 days, send them this email. So you can actually put them on an email sequence, all just from sending that first email. So you don't have to think about it every day. Those 3 things are incredible for me. Right. And look, this thing has like 2 users. I don't want a lot of people using this. I mean, I made so much money from this thing, but it's free. I mean, it's just a piece of code I wrote. It's called the Top Inbox, and people can get it at nathanlatka.com/the top inbox.
So I'd love to know what's next for you. What's your next big goal?
Look, the podcast is doing very, very well. I think we'll get to 10 million downloads per month by the end of the year. That's really what my focus is right now. We've got the top entrepreneurs. It's the orange logo. I hit entrepreneurs hard. I'm launching the Nathan Latka show, which is going to be a really big hit. I'm going to interview people like you've never seen people interview before. It's just going to be great.
Is that another podcast?
It's going to be a podcast. There'll be a show concept, potentially partnering with CNBC on it. So it'll have a lot of distribution. And then I'm launching a few other shows, likely in politics, sports, and entertainment, just to grow kind of the exposure. And maybe I launch my own station, TV. I mean, there's a lot of things I'm doing in media right now.
What advice do you have for our listeners who are thinking of dropping out of college, but they haven't made that step yet?
You shouldn't have to think about it. So if you're still thinking about it, it's not the right time. Go prepare yourself for the worst case scenario. And then when it's easy for you to just say, you know what, I'm going to stop going to class today. Boom. You know you're ready.
Good stuff. Now, on the flip side of that, what advice do you have for any of our listeners who have already dropped out and now they're just starting their entrepreneurial journey?
Sell, 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 sell. Get revenue. Pre-sell. Don't wait. Don't spend a lot of your own money. Pre-sell your thing.
Yep. What's the best way that people can connect with you?
Go download The Top Entrepreneurs on iTunes. It's at nathanlatka.com/the top iTunes, or you can just search The Top Entrepreneurs in your iTunes or Stitcher application. I give my personal phone number out on those episodes, so people are welcome to reach out to me that way.
Successful Dropouts, you've been hanging out with Nathan and Kylan, learning what it takes to drop out, grind, and succeed as an entrepreneur. For everything we talked about today, head over to successfuldropout.com and type Nathan into the search bar, and the show notes will pop right up. And as always, stay hungry, stay foolish. For more information about how to drop out, grind, and succeed, go to successfuldropout.com. I also love questions. If you have a question about anything we talked about today, I want to hear from you. Go to successfuldropout.com and click the Ask Me a Question link at the top of the page. Stay tuned for our next guest, Sam Forline, who dropped out to start making $1,000 per day. That's coming up next on Successful Dropout. Don't miss it. Or else.